Okay, we've gotten the bike out of the box, we put it in the repair stand. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the initial build done. After that, we'll move on and talk about the specific fine-tune adjustments that are required on the bicycle. But I'm going to work from the front to the back of the bicycle. First thing I'm going to do is take the quick release skewer, and I'm going to take the front wheel. This is going to go right through. This has a threaded part on here that I'm going to take off, and there's 2 springs, and each of these springs are shaped like cones, and what we want to have is when this is all said and done, we want to have both cones facing towards the middle. I take my wheel, I can push the quick release skewer through. Sometimes there's some extra plastic that's left over from the packaging. Put the other spring on the other side, tighten that up. Those springs will now allow this to be centered. This will still work just like the seat post. We're going to put this to the side for right now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the handlebar with the stem into the steer tube. I spin my fork straight, take this. The way this piece will work is as we tighten it up, it'll cam itself to lock into place. Push that through. Take my Y-Allen. On here there's a little piece of protection. We're just going to put this on here, and I'm just going to snug this up. And as I turn this, it will all of a sudden get tighter and hold everything in place. I'm just going to snug that up for now. We'll come back for some fine-tuning when we're done. I can pop my little plug back in, open up the front brake, squeezing these together and pulling this piece out. That cable will come right out of this slot. We'll again go into a little bit more detail in a bit here. I take the quick release wheel, put it into the front, pull it up nice and tight, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with the seat post, where I can lock that quick release skewer down to get it some nice tension, making sure we cam it shut. On these quick release skewers, there's both a word that says open and closed once we close it. We always want to make sure that that's closed. I can then come over and grab the pedals, and I'm going to put the pedals on. The pedals are labeled left and right. So they actually have the stickers on there, which is great. The right-hand side is the drive side. This is a normal thread, so I can just start threading that in by hand. The left-hand side is a reverse thread. So the non-drive is a reverse thread. Once those are started by hand, I can take the pedal wrench and I can start to tighten up those pedals the rest of the way. Again, making sure we get it started by hand. Sometimes we may have a little bit of extra material left over from the build process. And all I'm doing is holding the wrench in place and back pedaling. This will save you some time instead of turning the wrench around and around and around. Same thing here, and I just back pedal. And once they're on, I can hold the rear wheel, snug both of those up. At this point, the bike is together in the stand. Now in the next video, we'll go into the fine-tuning of the brakes, the gears, and the other parts of the bicycle. Alright, I want to take just about a couple seconds here and talk about the different parts of the bicycle so you know what's going on, so you can better reference if you have an issue going down the road, either a warranty problem or a damaged part that may come out of shipping. I'm going to work from the front to the back. Real easy up on the handlebar right here. We have the shifters, we have the brake levers, the handlebar itself, and then the stem. Some people refer to that as the gooseneck, but it's the stem. It goes into the fork. And this is a suspension fork with the front brake and the front wheel. The frame itself is made up of a couple different tubes. You have the head tube, the top tube, the down tube, the seat tube, which is what the seat post and saddle or seat go into. And then you have the 4 tubes in the back that make up what's called the rear triangle. Those are the seat stays and the chain stays. So you have 2 chain stays and 2 seat stays, and those will intersect into the bottom bracket. On the bottom bracket of the frame, you also have the crank, and that's what holds the chain rings on the front with the chain, the front derailleur or shifting unit, the rear derailleur or rear shifting unit, and then you have your freewheel in the back, which is your rear gear cluster. Again, the rear brake, and then the pedals, which we've already talked about. The kickstand is over on the non-drive side of the bicycle. And then what makes up the wheel, the tire and tube, the rim itself, which is the hula hoop, the spokes, and then the hub. So the hub itself, the spokes, and the rim make up the wheel. Each one of those is labeled individually. Next we'll go into the adjustment on how to fine-tune the brakes and the gears.